Okay, hello everybody and Merry Christmas. Yes, today is the 25th of December, which means lots of presents and nice things and nice food and presents and food, and I enjoy it. Anyway, for today's video I'm going to do something special because it is Christmas. I'm going to go over the 12 decks of scrolls. 12 days of Christmas, 12 decks of scrolls. See what I mean? Basically, just to try and encourage more variation in decks. That people are saying, oh, it's just mono decay, mono order, mono growth, whatever. I'm going to show you 12 decks, some standard, some a bit out there, and yes, I hope you enjoy them. Okay, so let's start things off by looking at what most people, including myself, consider to be the best deck of the current meta. It is, of course, Mono Decay. By playing this deck, you will be granted access to the most powerful set of creatures in Scrolls. All offer amazing value, scrolls such as the early game powerhouse that is Ilmir Tribesman, or Oblivion Seeker, a scroll that always proves to be a constant thorn in the opponent's backside. Decay's strength lies in its ability to punish your opponent for destroying your creatures, whether it is through Witch Doctor summoning a husk each time a human adjacent to it is destroyed, an Ilmir Rot Eater gaining attack and health whenever an adjacent creature is destroyed, or Harvester decreasing its countdown whenever any creature on the board is blown up. This, coupled with Decay's amazingly strong removal spells, make Mono Decay a huge force to be reckoned with. Plus, let's not forget everyone's favourite YOLO combo, Watcher Necrogeddon. Never has there been a more powerful way to deal direct damage to your opponent, unless that is, of course, you consider Watcher a couple of patches ago before it got nerfed. Anyway, I expect things to go in your favour when playing against growth-based decks and non-structure-based energy decks. Due to Decay's lack of countdown manipulation and its lack of ways to deal with structures, Decay's weakest matchups are against a solid mono order deck or a structure-heavy energy deck, though both matchups are still reasonable. As mentioned in the previous segment, Mono Order is one of the few decks that can stand up to Mono Decay, possibly even coming out as a slight favourite. Mono Order prides itself on its ability to control the state of the board better than any other faction. With scrolls such as Pother and Pushback at your disposal, you will be able to alter the positioning of your opponent's units, effectively meaning that your opponent's units are never safe no matter where they are placed. Mono Order also has access to possibly the most powerful scroll in the game in Imperial Resources. Imperial Resources does everything. It draws you scrolls, increases your resources, and heals all of your units and idols. Never have I seen more complaints over a card than I have over Imperial Resources. It is amazing. Mono Order decks also play a very powerful board wipe combination in Mangonel, Speed, and Focus. For 7 Order, you will be doing 6 damage to a 4 hex area, practically guaranteeing the destruction of anything in its path. This combo has been key to Mono Order's success for quite a while now, as it allows you to come back into a game that you had no right to win. Lastly, in Honourable General and in some cases Wings Captain, Mono Order is constantly threatening your opponent with the potential to attack with your entire side. In combination with Order's many countdown manipulation spells such as Speed and Blessing Haste, this can be easily pulled off and with great regularity. So if you like playing a deck that can mess with your opponent's board, and indeed their mind, then this is the deck for you. There is also the fact that you will never really find yourself playing against a deck that you're an underdog against, which is always nice. Unlike the previous Mono Order deck, which is primarily designed around being strong in the late game, Tempo Order is designed to win as quickly as possible. The main focus of the deck centres around Wings Captain and its interaction with all of Mono Order's soldier creatures. Potentially the best creature in the game, Wings Captain is a 4-cost 3/2/4 creature that has the ability that when her countdown hits 0, she gives adjacent soldier creatures -1 countdown and +1 movement. This ability is insane and allows you to attack with your whole board very frequently. This ability becomes even more powerful when combined with Fleetness. Fleetness reduces the base countdown of a creature by 1, so if you enchant it on Wings Captain, its effect will go off every turn, which unless removed will win you the game very quickly. Another part of this deck is its direct damage scrolls. Having Caller's Bane, Decimation and Faith Chains in your deck means that you can spread out your idle damage, knowing that later on in the game you will be able to destroy them very easily with these scrolls. For example, you can afford to leave an idol on 2 health, as you can destroy it later on with a single decimation. Temper Order is a favourite against late game mono order decks, but does struggle against decks such as Growth and Decay due to their strong removal. However, this deck is pretty much the only aggro deck in the game currently, so if you enjoy winning, or indeed losing, as quickly as possible, then I would wholeheartedly recommend you play this deck. No matter what the meta is, Mono Growth always proves to be a very popular deck to play, due to it being pretty amazing. The main core of the deck is based around wolves, lots and lots of wolves. There are wolves that have haste, wolves that reduce the countdown of other wolves, and a unit that summons wolves. All work together quite nicely, and the result of it being the big daddy of the deck, Great Wolf, getting even larger. The deck also has the best countdown manipulation spells in the game. Both God Hand and Rallying reduce the countdown of all your units by 2. God Hand also has the added bonus of increasing the attack of all your units by 2. Never has there been a greater finisher in the game than God Hand. Finally, Growth offers you some of the most powerful card drawing options. For the use of Fertile Soil and Ancestral Pact, you are able to keep your hand full at all times, giving you more options over what to play. This deck's only real weakness is when playing against mono Decay decks. Other than that, you will either be a favourite or just about even when playing against other factions. An old favourite of mine, Goddraw, was once the greatest force in the game. It is centred around increasing your resources as quickly as possible through memorials and drawing many scrolls through Heritage and Fertile Soil. This is easily achievable, however you are open to losing board control very quickly. To help you out, the deck comes fully equipped with some of the fastest and most powerful creatures that Growth can offer. Kinfolk Veteran is amazing. In my opinion, the best creature in the game. A 3-attack haste creature for 5 growth is extremely efficient and can alter the state of a board with one quick swoop. Another creature in the deck is Sister the Owl, powerful in its own right. Its strength is spawning owls when summoned. It's increased when combined with Metempsychosis. This can lead to what seems to be an infinite number of owls being on your board, giving you the potential to get a very powerful creature on the board. Lastly, to help buy you time, the deck comes equipped with Growth's ever-strong board-wiping scrolls. Both Quake and Frostgale are needed in this deck for it to work, keeping your opponent's units at bay so that you can go about your business whilst taking as little damage as possible. If you enjoy drawing lots of scrolls and ramping to a ridiculous number of resources, then I would wholeheartedly recommend this deck. Although it has been found out a bit in recent times, it still has the potential to cause mayhem against certain decks. My favourite deck currently, GD Eclipse, can cause more damage and destruction than any other deck I have seen. By combining the most powerful scrolls in Growth and the most powerful scrolls in Decay, you really do have a very strong deck in your hands. What allows this deck to work is one of the newest scrolls called Eclipse. Eclipse converts all of your resources into Decay for the turn, allowing you to pull off all sorts of powerful combos, such as spawning tokens with either Rat King or Sister the Owl, and then playing Necrogeddon. With so many board clearing scrolls, the opponent really doesn't stand much of a chance when you're able to get this deck going, something that is relatively easy to do through the use of No Idea, Eclipse and Return to Nature, allowing you to increase your resources and, in the case of Return to Nature, control your opponent's board. The deck is pretty much unstoppable unless you are facing a decent mono Decay deck, at which point this deck's strength in wiping your opponent's board becomes its weakness, as scrolls such as Ilmir, Roteater and Harvester can prove to be a thorn in your side. This version of Mono Energy is something that I like to call Mono Energy Ranged, as it is based around Mono Energy's ranged creatures and support spells. These creatures range from a cheap but efficient Dust Runner to the hugely powerful Cannon Automaton. All of these creatures come together under a very powerful spell called Bombard. The 3 energy, Bombard reduces the countdown of all ranged units on the board by 2, resulting in a very cheap way for all your units to attack. This can allow you to take your opponent by surprise with relative ease, resulting in you gaining complete board control. Mono Energy also has some excellent removal in scrolls such as Spark, Burn and Violent Dispersal. Energy also has the potential to cause huge damage through Thunder Surge, a scroll that deals 2 damage to each joint unit. The mere threat of such a scroll can lead to your opponent being forced to place their units in very poor positions just to reduce the impact that your Thunder Surge can potentially do, something which can give you a great advantage. The only real weakness of the deck comes from the health of Energy's creatures being so low. something which they try to counter through the armor ability. Although strong, it does still leave you open to direct removal. Mono energy range can stand up quite well to decks such as Mono Order, but does suffer in the hands of growth. The other version of Energy is based around structures. Energy has many powerful structures, strongest of them being Automator Forge, which summons a gun automaton each time its countdown hits 0. This can result in many tokens spamming the field, much to the annoyance of your opponent. Other notable structures are Ether Pump, which deals 1 damage to all your opponent's units, and Clock Library, which draws you 4 scrolls when its countdown hits 0. The deck also has some very strong scrolls to help support this strategy in Machine Divinator and Machine Chant. Machine Divinator increases the health of your structures and helps their abilities to go off with more regularity. Machine Chant gives the deck that extra bit of removal, whilst also increasing your resources. Although it is very powerful, it doesn't see too much play due to its weakness to growth board wipe spells. However, due to Decay's current dominance of the meta, this isn't something that you really need to worry about facing. So if you fancy a change and want to beat up Decay players, then this is definitely a deck that you should consider. Now we move on to some decks that I haven't really had much experience playing, but they are fantastic all the same. The first of which is EO Structures. This deck is similar to the previous deck that I showed you. This one comes with the strength of both Energy and Order. By adding Order to the deck, it gives you access to Order's countdown manipulation spells, namely Speed and Tempo Theft. These, when combined with Energy Structures, can result in loss of scrolls drawn and units destroyed. Another strength of these scrolls is being able to use them in combination with Energy's powerhouse creatures, Solemn Giant and Iron Ogre. Effectively being able to give both creatures haste can really surprise your opponent and leave them defenceless. Again, such a deck that revolves around structures is a bit weak to growth. However, due to its multi-resource and having the addition of the countdown spells, you do stand more of a chance. Dio Tempo. It was designed to give the standard Mono Decay deck something that it has always been lacking: countdown manipulation. Similar to the idea behind EO Structures, Dio Tempo uses Speed and Tempo Theft to reduce the countdown of Decay's most powerful creatures, namely Harvester and Witch Doctor, to give your opponent no chance of acting out their plans. Other than that, it's essentially a regular Mono Decay deck, equipped with all the powerful scrolls that Decay has to offer, such as Languid, Brain Lice and Oblivion Seeker, and so shares both its strengths and weaknesses in terms of deck matchups. ED Midrange. This is something that is little known and rarely seen. It may look quite small and gimmicky, but it can pack one hell of a punch. The interaction between Puppet Soldier and Burn is always a fun one. Being able to take out an entire row is very powerful indeed, and is still etched into the back of everyone's mind who played back in the Puppet Nutrition days. Another fun combo found in this deck is Bloodline Taint and pretty much anything that deals damage. Giving things Curse 2 can turn the most normal of removal spells into something really rather devastating. This is of course more relevant against decks that share subtypes, such as Mono Order and in some cases Mono Decay. Having little to no experience of this deck, I'm unable to say what its strengths and weaknesses are in terms of matchups. However, I can say by the looks of things it has potential to be quite a force in the right hands. Right, lastly we can take a look at GEO End of Reason, something that really took me by surprise when I first saw this deck in action. It's simple in design, using End of Reason with the many memorials that are in the deck. This gives both a lot of resource ramp as well as the ability to blow up the board at will. When combined with scrolls such as Fertile Soil and Heritage, you have at your disposal a wonderful engine that draws you cards, increases your resources and turns your opponent's field into dust. The win condition is found through the use of Solemn Giant, and the gun automaton spawned through Automator Forge. This may sound slow, however, as things can get out of hand rather quickly, the game, once nearing its end, does so very abruptly.
With it being a draw deck, it does suffer the same weakness as Goddraw does, in that if your opponent does concentrate on your idols, then you will come under a lot of trouble. That having been said, I think that this deck does counter this strategy better than any other draw deck I have seen, so if you fancy playing a deck that really is out there, then this deck is here ready and waiting.
Okay, so I hope all those 12 decks help you in some form or another. Yeah, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. And again, Happy Christmas. Bye.